And I want so badly for Jordan Romano to be an elite closer. I'm just not sure that he is. All right, I'm
right?
back on board. You've sold me.
Yeah, we go back and forth.
We
I
did a
love
full 360. Okay, no, that was great. That's a great point at the end there. Okay, I'm with you. That's a valid point, I think. I don't know. I'll digest this and I might yell at you next Wednesday when I feel tricked. Who knows? But for now, I'm with you. For now,
it. All
I'm
good.
back. I'm back in the cult of Joel. So patreon.com/the walk off podcast. $4 a month gets you in there. Okay, let's talk number 9 hitter, because this has been a gripe of yours as long as we've been friends,
Yes,
Joel.
absolutely.
Having the number 9 spot rather than, throwing your pitcher out there. That's a dated reference, but
Mm,
have it being a pseudo leadoff hitter,
yes,
right?
absolutely.
A leadoff hitter that gets one less at bat, but
Mhm.
uh, being able to turn the lineup over, getting guys on base. Break it down for me.
So, if the team had a classic leadoff hitter, if we had somebody like an old school leadoff hitter who hit high on base, good running, no home runs, no pop, but just a Kenny Lofton style leadoff hitter, it wouldn't mean that much to me. But since we go with the Springer approach at the top of the lineup, I don't know how many texts you got from me last year when I was angry on a George Springer solo homer with nobody on base,
I
and
got
it
about
not just
15
being
of them.
yeah, not just the fact that it was like leading off the game, but the fact that out of the 9 spot, it was Tapia, Zimmer, Jackie Bradley Jr., right?
Yeah.
Like it was an absolute hole in the 9 spot. So he was hitting solo home runs later in the game because nobody was on for him. Nobody was ever on.
Yeah.
And my concept has been as Springer's OBP starts to slip a little bit year by year, that he's becoming more of a number 4 hitter. Right?
Okay.
He had 25 home runs last year, 70 or so RBIs. You put him in the 4 spot and maybe 3 or 4, he scores 3 or 4 less runs, but he probably has 10 more RBIs, maybe more. But it was a situation where we've got that absolute stud hitting number 1 with power. The ability to not only get on and set the table, but to drive in people if they're on base. And if we're coming into the situation this year where Kiermaier is in the 9 spot, I don't like it. I don't like it at all. If we have somebody else in the leadoff spot and Springer's shifted down to kind of extend the lineup, then I don't mind if our number 9 hitter's back. But the fact that we're so 1, 2, 3, 4 heavy in the lineup, and we have been for a considerable amount of time now, that we don't consider 9 to be a part of that 1, 2, 3, 4. It's directly connected.
Mm-hmm.
Every time you shift over the lineup, every time you get a hit in that number 9 spot, it gives that top of the lineup an extra opportunity to, score more runs. It just, the way that we're set up, it makes sense that that 9 spot is assisting 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah.
And that's why I think Witt is ideally designed for that spot
Okay.
because of his doubles. If Witt's healthy, if Witt's producing to the standard of Whit Merrifield, he's hitting with a 270, 280 average at the bottom of the lineup. And he's got 40 double potential and he can steal. So if that guy's hitting 9 for you, he's pretty much setting the table in that 9 spot. 2 outs, Witt gets a double and gives George a chance to drive him in. Like we need that can add so much more to the team as opposed to Jackie Bradley Jr. strikes out. Bradley Zimmer has a $120 batting average. Raimel Tapia, all that in the 9 spot. It's just there's no connection. There's no flow from 9 to 1. So I say put a good hitter there.
I like it. It would solve the pit in my stomach that I sometimes feel when an inning ends at number 5 or 6. And I just go, well, 2 innings from now, we'll have another chance to score.
Right? Right?
Yeah. Okay, now's a good time to go make some dinner because we got about an inning and a half before anything happens.
You watch another show for 20 minutes. You're like, and your girlfriend is like, wait, what are you doing? And you're like, they're not going to be good for about 25 minutes. We can watch Brooklyn Nine-Nine or something.
Yeah, let's throw on an episode of Brooklyn Nine-Nine. All right. While we're on the topic of unconventional lineup construction, let's talk the closer role.
Yes.
Jordan Romano is the de facto closer of this team. Uh, Very impressive numbers last year. I think we can agree on that. Uh, Top five closer last year,
Oh yeah, I would think so,
right?
especially in the AL.
Okay. Um, you have a suggestion which would drastically impact his save count.
Yes. Oh yeah,
So let's
absolutely.
let's talk this. Let's talk Jordan Romano out of the closer role.
I think nobody in the closer role would be the best way of
Okay.
saying it. To me, it's not it's not taking away that mantle from Romano. It's the idea of approaching, especially like the last two innings, the last three innings, when you've gone to your bullpen, approaching them based on the lineup that you're facing, as opposed to it being seventh inning, eighth inning, ninth inning. If your best pitcher, we've come the end of this year, going into next year, we will ideally have three dynamic arms able to come out of the pen. Now, judging on whether one is high or low, or where they are compared to each other in the season, it just gives you the opportunity to say, we're going up in the eighth inning, we're up against two, three, four of the innings. Now, do you want your best arm to be in the game there? Or do you want your best arm to be in the game in the ninth against 7, 8, 9 potential? Right. My concept is just get rid of the idea of saves being a thing that matters. It's about putting out the most effective guy against the hitters, dependent on who they are. Right. The idea of sending out a slightly less good guy in the eighth, just because it's the eighth, but it's the core of their lineup, still just doesn't make sense to me. And a lot of teams have kind of made that shift over the last few years to, if Josh Hader has to come in early, he'll come in early. And kind of that concept of facing the core guys with your best arm.
So this would be a bigger factor, I suppose, if there was an exaggerated drop off between Jordan Romano and what he's doing this year and Eric Swanson or a Chad Green when he's healthy or
Yeah.
whoever the case may be. So I'm with you there. If there is not a substantial drop off, do you still feel the same way?
If there's not
Like if
my
Eric,
situation,
let's eliminate Chad Green because obviously he's coming back from Tommy John. It's a very much a mystery bag what we're getting with him this year. So let's take that
yes.
off the table. But let's say Eric Swanson dealing this year,
Yeah.
absolutely lights out. Jordan Romano also lights out. They got a WHIP right around 1, an ERA under 2. They're both like as good as we could ask for. How do you still want to lean on one when it's Aaron Judge coming up in the eighth?
I feel like it's situational. It's what those guys' experience are against the hitters that they're facing. Um, but it'll come down to, like, those guys are, it's a 1-1A situation, right? It's, if Swanson's dealing the same way Romano is, which they both were last year, if you take their stats and carry them over to this year, it's very much 1A, 1B. They're,
Mm-hmm.
so it's kind of a goalie situation, playing your hot hand within the season. If you feel like a guy is on a stretch of 10 innings without giving up any runs, and he's hasn't walked a guy in 10 innings, it's to me, it's about playing the hot hand of who feels right energy wise, also who's pitched recently. It's a situation where you don't have to feel locked to their inning, because Romano only pitches in the ninth. I know Romano loves being the closer too, so that's a tough thing that I deal with, because he's got his big entrance. He loves to come in the ninth. He loves to be that ninth inning guy. But if
Let
you have the
me.
ability to, especially when Chad comes in, that's at the end of the year. This is more
Mhm.
so in my mindset come August, September, when you've got a three-headed dragon and you've got numbers to say, especially with Chad Green, who has so much experience. So you look at his numbers against specific batters in Major League Baseball, and you go, well, Chad's dominant against these guys. Maybe he gets the eighth. because it's 2, 3, and 4, and he's more successful against that 2, 3, and 4 than Romano is. But it's like I said, playing the hot hand of who's you see Romano can be dynamite at the end of the year, but he can have his roller coaster moments throughout the season, right? So it's just the fact that your potential roller coaster, you've got another arm. And if you feel that you trust that other arm in that moment, you have the option. And like we said, Jays love options.
I don't know how I feel about this. On the one hand, like the old romantic baseball fan in me loves the idea of a closer.
Mhm.
You know, your Wild Thing, your Edwin Diaz, your Markham Madman. And I love that he's like Canadian, Toronto area kid, grew up a Jays fan, closing out Jays games. I love everything about like just from like the romance of baseball of it all.
Yeah. Yeah.
Love it. Love it.
Yeah.
From a entertainment side of things, as a fan, being at the Rogers Center, the big entrance, and you know it's the ninth and whatever. That's really cool too. Like there is a intangible value add to that,
Mhm.
and I want so badly for Jordan Romano to be an elite closer. I'm just not sure that he is. He's really, really good.
He's really, really good.
I'm just not sure that he's elite.
Yeah.
So that makes me kind of lukewarm on this whole topic. And I hate that because, like I said, I want so badly to be like, we have the guy. Again,
It's
he
also,
was a
isn't
top
it
five
kind of
closer
a,
in the league last year. So, like,
yeah.
I
Oh,
can't
yeah.
even say, like,
I'm a
anything
huge
bad about
Romano
Jordan.
fan.
Love
No,
Romano.
and this idea doesn't apply to last year. I don't think this idea applies. I think last year Romano's your
It
closer.
was
He
a
comes out in the ninth.
different
Yeah,
bullpen last year. Totally. I
right.
get it.
This that idea doesn't apply there, but now it's it's
No,
weird where you would get
I
that.
think last year would apply more than this year.
You think
I,
so?
I think last year we don't, I think the drop
Or
off between
you would use Romano more
in the
in the
eighth
eighth is what you're
last
saying, and
year.
let
Yeah,
and
I feel like the drop off from Romano to Mesa or Trent Richards is more
or Yimi
substantial.
Garcia. Yeah,
Yeah, so if we're going against Aaron Judge in the eighth and Giancarlo Stanton in the eighth, yeah, I'd rather have Romano get the ball there and then have Tim Mesa come in to face Glaber Torres and whoever else in the ninth, right?
it's kind of just the idea that you've got more closers. You're technically bringing in a closer in the eighth, right? Which is the
Right.
difference between last season is that there is a drop off, right? So when you go to that, it's almost like you've got more closer bullets in your gun, and you can pull the trigger earlier because you know Swanson or Green can take the ninth, right?
You've
Or
lost me. I'm off. I'm off this bandwagon. I think just the
really,
fact that we're so close. Yeah, I was so close to with you, and there's the more I think about it, because there's less of a drop off. I don't see the value in bringing in if Romano's gonna. I see the romantic entertainment value of having a closer. I mean,
mm,
bonus points that he's Canadian, everything we just talked about. But I don't see him being that much better than Eric Swanson, where in the eighth inning, we're like, oh, Aaron Judge is up. We better bring in Jordan Romano so that we make sure we get this here. Like, I
I'm
trust
kind of
Eric Swanson almost just as much as Jordan Romano to take care of business.
yeah, yeah. So what I'm saying is that it's remember Kansas City and their three-headed dragon in 2015, right? That option of they would run three closers out there situationally based on who they felt was going to dominate those last 7 innings. So to me, it's just a situation where we don't have to feel so locked to that ninth. We don't have to feel so locked to our roles. And and to me, if you would have used Romano in those situations last year, right in the eighth, where you bring him in and then you lose it because you don't have a closer coming in the ninth, and the weaker hitters get to him. To me, that's like
That's a good
those
point.
that would be incredibly deflating,
All right, I'm
right?
back on board. You sold me.
Yeah, we go back and forth.
We
I
did a
love it.
full 360. Okay, no, that was great. That's a great point at the end there. Okay, I'm with you. That's a valid point. I think. I don't know. I'll digest this, and I might yell at you next Wednesday when I feel tricked. Who knows? But for now, I'm with you. For now,
All
I'm
good.
back. I'm back in the cult of Joel. So